So Fatgum's skinny form finally made its debut in the anime, and today we're going to use information from both the Vigilantes manga and from the main show to explain just how powerful it actually is. But before we begin, this channel is so close to 1,000 subscribers, so I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. So in order to explain the sheer force of Fatgum's muscle form, let's first explain his regular quirk to give you a bit of context. His base quirk is called fat absorption, and it enables his body fat to stick to anything it comes into contact with. And if he has enough mass, he can literally store large objects and even people inside of his body fat. What that means in practice is, as we saw in previous episodes in season 4, he can effectively restrain villains simply by grabbing them and then storing them inside his body, which is a bit intimate, but you know. However, it's worth noting that the size of Fatgum's form depends on how much he eats, which is probably the best excuse in the world to just binge eat. His level of obesity is literally saving people's lives. Anyway, Fatgum's quirk is the ultimate shield, and is even more resilient than Kirishima's unbreakable form, at least for the time being. His fat makes him essentially stab-proof, bulletproof, explosion-proof, although evidently not punch-proof, as Rappa was still able to mess him up pretty good. But let's move on to why you probably clicked on this video. How strong is his skinny form? If we're being literal here, Fatgum's actual skinny form is not that much stronger than the average man. However, I should probably be more specific. While Fatgum's skinny form itself isn't exceptionally strong, we've seen on at least 2 occasions in the manga that the process to turn into his skinny form is where the real power lies. His fat absorbs the kinetic energy, and he's able to store as much of it as he wants before releasing it in an ultimate attack. In the Vigilantes spin-off manga, Fatgum intentionally jumped on top of a robot that was about to self-destruct, absorbing the full force of the explosion inside his fat. He then released it in a relatively controlled explosion, and I say relatively because the strength of the explosion was so much that he admitted he could have actually died if he didn't release it at that moment. But putting that aside, if it was a more reasonable explosion that wasn't so big, he would have been able to control that energy and then release it in a single explosion-like punch. Sort of like Bakugo's AP shot. And remember guys, fat is literally stored energy. The reason our bodies make fat is to store energy for later when we might not have access to food. So the way this quirk works totally makes sense. And because the energy is stored in his fat, the downside of releasing it is that he immediately transitions into his skinny form. We saw this in the main series when he absorbed all of Rappa's powerful punches and counterattacked with a single punch that was equivalent to all the punches Rappa had given him previously. Which, when you think about it, is pretty incredible that actually anyone survived that. So in short, Fatgum's slim form has no particular benefit, but it's the process of releasing his stored energy that enables him to make a deadly attack, which then results in him becoming skinny again. And as a side note, there are a few other cool, interesting things about this character. For example, the artist for the spin-off manga said that Fatgum's design is one of Horikoshi's personal favorites, and his appearance is designed to pay homage to a Matryoshka doll. Yeah, I'm hoping I said that right. Matryoshka dolls come in varying sizes and are designed to fit inside each other. This has strong parallels with Fatgum, as his fat outer shell is essentially a practical tool that he uses to fight crime, with his true muscly and skinny form being underneath. And according to the latest Ultra Analysis book, Fatgum has really impressive stats. If you look at his power, he has a 5 out of 6. For comparison, the number 2 hero, Hawks, has a 3 out of 6. And as far as I could see, Endeavor and All Might were the only heroes who had a power level that was higher than Fatgum's. Although admittedly, I didn't actually look that long. But yeah, the guy's pretty powerful. Like, you wouldn't imagine how powerful he is just by looking at him. I do like his power because it's very versatile. The fact that you can be the ultimate shield, and then when needed you can turn yourself into a spear, that gives a level of peace of mind that if you were stuck in a situation by yourself, you'd be able to get out of it. But that's going to do it for me today guys. I have a longer video planned next week where I'm going to break down my theory regarding how the mysterious second user of One For All is actually Bakugo. And I posted that theory on Twitter and everyone just went crazy. I even got quite a few big YouTubers talking about it, so I figured why not make it into a video. So until then, subscribe to the channel and make sure you check out my video that explains the limits of Kirishima's unbreakable form. Catch you next time. Peace.